It seems we associate every month with an important special cause. October for
Tiffany's
breast cancer.
birthday.
That's November. February for Heart Month. June for Molly's birthday. And April for jokes.
Yeah, we're thrilled to welcome back Liysa Callsen to the show. She's a humorist, performer, and author. She wrote this book. It's called Tell 'Em. It's a memoir of a girl whose first language was not the spoken word. We want to welcome Liysa back. And the reason it wasn't your first language was because both of your parents are deaf.
Yep. Sign language.
Yeah, your husband's deaf.
My husband's deaf.
He's here today in the studio with us, which is super cool to meet him. But I mean, it's a lot of people would see that as being somewhat tragic. You found some humor in it.
It's no tragedy. It's totally funny. And I mean, I didn't really think it was funny at the time. Yeah. But instead of paying for therapy, I decided to, you know, use it as my material.
Laugh about it.
I'm gonna make fun of this because it's funny.
How do you think it's kind of benefited your humor? What is it? And do people always find it funny that you found it humorous?
I have a way of being able to kind of, well, there's this joke that I tell that's when my parents and I were growing up, we went to the restaurant and they would take us to the table and lay out the menus. The menus were in Braille. My parents are deaf, not blind. So that joke right there, it totally puts it on you, and then it's a nice, fun way of telling other people that it's not that bad of a deal, you know? So, I mean, again, I'm not deaf myself, but it's the best. That's the best thing, actually. It's such a beautiful language.
My mom always used to joke that people would just talk slower. She's like, I mean, she's like, I just need you to talk louder, not slower.
And for deaf people, you don't need to talk louder because it distorts your face. You're like, I don't know what that is.
You know that our closed captioner is having a great time today.
Exactly. Yes, we're talking so fast. But you know, I think it's something, a testament to your character too, that you know you can rise above some of those things. Because as a kid, it'd be hard to be always explaining to people that your parents can't hear.
Yeah,
and,
I did.
You know, I shouted out to your husband here in the studio. I'm like, "Hi, so nice to meet you." And you're like, "Remember, he can't hear." I'm like, "Oh, there he is." Way there.
It's funny, I did that once actually, about a month ago. I saw him coming into the house, like I was driving home and he was outside, and I wanted to beep to tell him something, and I'm like, beep, beep. I'm like, oh, he can't hear me. I wanted to get his attention. Yeah. You gotta roll down the window and you're like, hey, girl! I do it too.
Barking doesn't work. You said he can hear dogs bark.
He can hear the dog. Yeah, but I can't trigger the dog to bark when I want him to. You know, texting is great though now. Like I text him from the bedroom, you know, like dog needs to go out, and I hear him get up, take the dog out.
Yeah. It's National Humor Month.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there are a lot of studies that actually prove the health benefits of laughter, of humor, and also as a pain reliever.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I mean, you're in the healthcare field. What do you know about laughter as it relates to our health?
Well, I know that it improves your oxygen, your blood. It makes you feel better. It takes the tension. It takes away the distraction of whatever you're talking about. I mean, you know, there's a time for it. Don't get me wrong. There is definitely a time for it. But it definitely is a distraction. And there's all these kinds of things that I'm not really a doctor, but it's supposed to improve your heart and all these great things. So,
and your vision?
And your vision. No, perspective. You get a different perspective when you're laughing. When you find the joys in life, in the tragedy, if you will, then it can only be better. Yeah. You know, for me, it's resiliency. I use laughter and humor as resilient. That's how I come back from things that are not so nice. Yeah. A flooded basement. We'll just go swimming, or you know, I mean, just that's how you kind of find that humor lining, is what I call it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, when you've worked with people in the medical field, do you have any stories of where humor kind of helped them heal?
Right. So for me, I see it on a personal level where I have had people in the hospital, and I can see the relationships building. My family members have this great knack of creating that bond of humor. They're like, oh, just poke me. It's only been the 3,000th time, but it's okay. And they start to build that relationship with the nurse or the doctor to allow the humor to happen. Yeah. If it was flipped and you have somebody who's good at it and says, okay, I'm pricking you for the 3,000th time, you're going to get a candy after this or something, whatever the humor is, you start to break down those walls. So then that patient will feel a little bit better about asking questions.
It's kind of that Patch Adams effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. But no clown noses for me.
No, skip those.
I don't like those.
What about people who are watching or thinking to themselves, you know, I have a chronic illness, or I have a loved one who's dying, or I am waiting for some test results, or they lose in a relationship, or their kids are going through a trying time, and they say, there's no place for humor here. This just isn't funny.
Yeah. I don't know, because it's a different level for each person, and you have to find humor for you, because what I think is funny, you may not. So being able to know your group or know your people, you kind of slide that in. So there's always going to be something that you can turn to that takes your mind off of it. For me, I try to trajectory crisis that I'm in to a humor crisis. Like, what if, you know, all of a sudden there were blueberries or whatever it might be. So it's a learned behavior. If you really can't do humor at all, you got more problems than just the crisis.
Yeah.
You know, really. But if you can do humor, there's an opportunity to kind of just start to bring it into your day. Okay, we forgot packed lunches today. Grrr! Instead of getting so mad about it, say, you know, maybe make it a poem. I forgot packed lunches today, so tomorrow I won't, whatever.
Yeah.
And you start to greet, you know, because then it starts to show the people that you're around that's within you, within the crisis. They're in it with you. You're showing them how to kind of get out of this without being angry all the time. And so for chronic illnesses and things like that, you definitely want to laugh because it's going to ease tension. But it does take time and practice to be able to think that way. Maybe it's not the patient themselves, it's somebody around them. Being able to bring that in, you know, like, you know what, we were going to give you a mani-pedi before today's visit, but we ran out of paint or whatever, you know, and just things like that just kind of start to become habit, I think, is most important.
And practice.
Yeah.
You're not going to be perfect right away.
Absolutely. We'll never be perfect, really.
That's for sure.
You can try. Here's your website so people can find out more about your book, too. It's LisaCallsen.com. Thanks for being here, brightening up our day.
Thank you.
And people can visit your website, too, to find out about having you speak at different events, right?
I do a lot of events based on the deaf stuff and based about overcoming obstacles. We all have different obstacles, just in a different form.
It's great. Great
Cool.
to see you again, Lisa.
See you.
Thank you so much. I love it.